Guys, this is the health and wellness spot, and two videos are related. This one for insulin and the other one for diabetes. So we'll put up the links on each of these videos so that you can watch the two of them and get to relate. Okay? So again, thank you for supporting us. Keep subscribing to our channel and press that notification bell so that anytime we post such videos, you get a chance to be among the first people to be notified. Therefore, let's jump straight into this. Now, insulin. What is insulin? There are so many questions around diabetes and deeper questions about insulin and what insulin does and how it works and why people with diabetes are injected insulin shots. So I'm here to help you understand this. So insulin is basically a hormone that is produced in the pancreas to help you regulate blood sugar levels after a meal. Remember, the pancreas controls blood sugars after a meal. The liver controls blood sugars when you're fasting. How? It pumps glucose into the system by breaking down the storage form of glucose, that is glycogen. But the pancreas, when you eat, blood sugar goes up, it produces insulin, and insulin drops the blood sugar. Okay? So today we are going to focus on insulin and how this insulin works. So now, insulin is produced in the pancreas. Now you have your meal here, which is full of carbohydrates, protein, and fat, and you call it a balanced diet, even though that is a fallacy. However, we will deal with that. We have carbohydrates, we have protein, and we have fat. Remember, all these nutrients are capable of being converted to glucose at the end of the process. Okay? So we'll not go into that. We'll handle what we have to handle in this video about insulin. So now you've taken in a meal that is full of carbohydrates, protein, and fat. They are digested in the stomach, in the mouth, going down the stomach and then into the small intestine for absorption. Now, once you absorb them, carbohydrate is absorbed in its lowest form or its simplest sugar, which is glucose. So you will absorb from the intestine into your bloodstream carbohydrates as glucose. You will also absorb protein as amino acids. And finally, you absorb fat as fatty acids. So they are broken down to their lowest level, which is amino acid for protein, fatty acid for lipids or fat, and glucose for carbohydrates. Now, we already said that in our bloodstream, we have a specific amount of glucose or sugar. So this ranges from 4 to around 5.5, some say 5.6. However, that is the normal range or the amount of glucose that is supposed to be always in your bloodstream, so that when it goes down, your liver pumps in glucose to take that level high. When it goes higher, your pancreas produces insulin to knock that sugar back into the muscle, into the fat cells, and also in the liver. Okay? So that's how it is regulated in the body. And this is an automatic function. You don't need to assist it. The body does it on its own. So this is insulin. So basically, the pancreas' work is to produce insulin to help you knock this glucose that is coming in from your diet to a level that is normal, and therefore take this excess glucose into the liver, into fat cells, and into the muscle. So into the muscle, what insulin does, insulin binds to our receptors on these tissues. So once it binds to these receptors, this opens up the gates or the doors so that sugar comes into these tissues. So now, it binds here, opens up the gate. Now sugar starts going into these cells through these gates. Okay? So sugar leaves your bloodstream and goes into these tissues through those gates that have been opened. And that helps you to lower blood sugar in your blood. So this is for a normal person. For a diabetic person, there's a problem with these receptors, or there's a problem with the pancreas. And therefore this blood sugar cannot be regulated. It just goes higher and higher and higher. And that is diabetes mellitus, which is a baby type 1 or type 2. Now, since this one has gone into the cells, now we said in the muscles, glucose is converted into ATP and gives you the energy for you to function, for skeletal muscle to function, maybe for movement. Those people go to the gym, so you need that. Again, in the muscle, glucose is converted into its storage form that is called glycogen. Remember that glycogen is also in the liver. So in the muscle, glucose is converted into glycogen and stored, so that when you have activity, that glucose is broken down to give you ATP. which is the form of energy that is required. Now, also in the muscle, insulin helps you suck in amino acid from bloodstream into the muscle so that it can form proteins for muscle replenishment and repair. Now, in the liver, glucose is converted into glycogen and is stored in the liver. Okay, and also insulin helps you convert glucose that is coming in into fatty acids, and these fatty acids will be added to glycerol in the fat cells to form triglyceride, which is the storage form of fat in the fat cells. We will go to that. Now, so you convert glucose into glycogen, store it in the liver. You also convert glucose into fatty acids and either store it into the liver or take it into fat cells. And again, there's a sugar that is called fructose, the one that is found in fruits and honey. That is a dangerous sugar because it is converted directly to triglycerides in the liver. So once it's converted to triglycerides, it is stored in fat cells. So this will add up to your insulin resistance and also your obesity, and that will bring you problems which are related to diabetic cause. Okay, so now into the fat cells. Once this insulin steps on these receptors, opens up channels, glucose gets into the fat cells. That glucose in fat cells is converted to glycerol, and that glycerol will not be stored in that form because the storage form of fat, of glucose in fat cells, is triglycerides. And how do you form triglycerides? In the liver, remember, we formed fatty acids. So those fatty acids are combined with the glycerol that is formed in fat cells to form triglycerides. And these are the storage forms of glucose in fat cells. So when you block this channel, when you start fasting, then that encourages you to start breaking this glycogen in the liver and glycogen in the muscle to give you glucose. Okay, that will raise your blood glucose. And that's why people who say you will maybe faint or have problems in your fasting because you need to eat to get glucose is a lie. Because so much of your glucose is stored in muscles, the liver, and fat cells. And this is what you utilize when you're not eating. So when you stop carbohydrates intake, then the fat cells, the muscle, and the liver start converting their forms of glucose, the storage form of glucose, into active glucose, and that is pumped into the blood to maintain your blood glucose level. So basically that is insulin. Insulin is the hormone that is produced by the pancreas, and its function is just to help you pump the blood glucose into fat cells, liver, and muscle cells so that you don't get into diabetes. So basically that is insulin.